So we're holding already, it's Erev Yom Kippur. It's Erev Yom Kippur, believe it or not. So we have to talk about Yom Kippur, we have to talk about Teshuva. Listen to the Gemara. The Gemara says in Yuma like this. There's a Gemara in Yuma on Pei Zayin. The Gemara is going through about 7 or 8 different unbelievable milas, the different power of Teshuva. The Gemara says like this. Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said, Gedol Teshuva. Teshuva is very great. Shetoicha es loisasei shevator. That Teshuva is so great, it's able to push away, it's able to overcome, even a loisasei, even an avera. Even an avera. What does that mean? Shneimar. So Rabbi Yochanan quotes the pasuk in Yirmiyah. The pasuk says that Hashem said to the Jewish people, if let's say the situation is where a man sends away his wife, and she remarries another husband, so it says Hashem, the halach is, it's a mitzvah in the Torah, one is not allowed to remarry a wife that has already married someone else in between. And still says Hashem, he is considered a disgusting thing. And says Hashem to the Jewish people, and you the Jewish people, you are my first wife. You're my first wife. What happened? The Gauls and the exiles, I send you out and you marry other people. You get involved in other things. You put your lives and your support and your hopes and dreams into other things besides me. It says Hashem, it doesn't make a difference. Come back. Come back. So it says Rabbi Yochanan, Gedol Teshuva. Teshuva is so powerful that what? That it's able to override even a loisasei shevator, even a negative aver. Where usually the rule is that if a man divorces a wife and she remarries, he's not allowed to remarry her. But in this case, Hashem, God forbid, divorced us and we remarry another God, still Hashem wants us back. That's what the Gemara says. So what does this mean? What does this mean that Gedol Teshuva, Shedoicha loisasei shevator, that Teshuva is so great, is able to override a losasei, a negative command? What does that mean? That's number one. Number two. There's a halach in Shulchan Aruch. You know, the halachas of Teshuva is a serious thing. Teshuva is a serious thing. It's a mitzvah in the Torah. Listen to what the Ramah writes in Shulchan Aruch. This is in the halachas of Yom Kippur. Writes the Ramah. Yom HaKippurim eino mechaper. Yom HaKippurim, we know Yom Kippur is a day of great atonement. Hashem forgives everything. But there are certain conditions. Says the Ramah, Yom HaKippurim eino mechaper el al hashavim. First of all, Yom Kippur only brings atonement for those people that do Teshuva. That's number one. You have to do Teshuva. And as the Ramah, listen to this, Hama'aminim b'kaparasa. Number two, you also have to believe in Yom Kippur. You have to do Teshuva, number one, and you have to believe in the power of Yom Kippur. Those are the two conditions. If you fill those two conditions, then Yom Kippur works. However, if you do Teshuva, but you don't believe in the power of Yom Kippur doesn't work. What does that mean? Why? Why is it important to believe in the power of Yom Kippur? It's a strange thing. We don't find this in other places. You know? We don't find that you have to, believe in whatever the power is in order for it to work for you. Why do you have to believe in Yom Kippur? Okay, so we have to talk about Teshuva. We have to talk about what is Teshuva, how does it work, and how do we connect to it on our level. Listen, there's the Yerushalmi. I've spoken about this idea many, many times, but hopefully tonight will be in a little different way. Listen to the Yerushalmi. Amar Pinchas. Rav Pinchas said the following thing. Shol Chachma, they asked, whoever they is, the Rishon doesn't say who exactly they are, but they asked Chachma, they asked wisdom. Chayte mahu ansha. What happens to a person who doesn't have aver? What does wisdom say? What does logic say about a person who doesn't have aver? Amru lahem, so wisdom responds, Chatoyim tirdav ra. The evil will chase them for eternity. Chatoyim tirdav ra. Evil will chase them to the end. There's no way out. That's what wisdom says. That's what logic dictates. Shol l'nevuah. So they're not happy with that response. So they go and they ask prophecy. Chayte mahu ansha. What's the deal with someone who doesn't have vera? Is there any way out? So Omer lahem, so prophecy responds, Hanefesh hachetah si tamas. The answer is no. The soul of the sinner will die. There's no way out. Wisdom, logic dictates death. Prophecy says there's death. Shol l'kutsharich. So finally, we come and we ask Hashem, Chayte mahu anshai. What is the result? What should a person do if they didn't have Vera? Amar lahem, so Hashem responds, Yasu tshuva v'yiskapelai. Do tshuva and will be forgiven. So what's going on over here in this Yerushalmi? What's going on over here? Logic can't perceive tshuva. Prophecy can't perceive tshuva. The only one that can perceive, that could understand, that could bring into reality the concept of tshuva is Hashem Himself. So listen, and this is so important for Yom Kippur. This is important for Mamish to survive. The Svarim tell us the following thing. This is rooted in the Zohar, it's rooted in the Kisyari. All the Svarim talk about this. Each one maybe in different ways, but they're all talking about this. The Svarim tell us the following thing. Hashem relates to the world in two different ways. In the words of the Zohar, it's described as follows. That Hashem there's one relationship that Hashem has with the world which is described as Memale Kol Almin, that Hashem fills all worlds. He fills all worlds. And there's another relationship that Hashem has, which is that He's Sovev Kol Almin, that He surrounds all worlds. These are two different types of relationships. A relationship of Hashem filling the world, and a relationship of Hashem surrounding the world. What does that mean? What does that mean? On a very, very simple level. It means as follows. Hashem created the world in such a way, we all know this. Hashem created the world in such a way where there's rules. There's rules. There are limitations. There's limitations in nature, and there's limitations in the spiritual world as well. None of us can fly. None of us can fly. That's one of the rules that Hashem set up, that a human being, as opposed to a bird, is unable to fly on his own. That's a rule of nature. You could fight all you want, you could scream and cry about it, you're not going to fly. So too, and there's gravity, there's all sorts of rules in nature. That's all science is about that. So too, just like there are rules in nature, so too Hashem created the world in such a way where there are rules of spiritual nature as well. What does that mean? That means Hashem created the world in such a way where if you want to connect to Him in a deep way, you want to connect to Hashem in a real way, there are certain pipelines, there are certain channels, there are certain highways to use. It's called Shabbos, it's called Tefillin, it's called Kibbur Avim, it's called davening. The 613 mitzvahs, these are the passageways, these are the connecting, the routes that we have to Hashem Himself. You know, in the Zohar, mitzvahs are not called mitzvahs in the Zohar. The mitzvahs are described in the Zohar as eitzahs. These are pieces of advice, so to speak. Not that we can't, we disregard them, but these are pieces of advice that we have, that Hashem gave us, how to connect to Him. If a person wants to connect to Hashem with bypassing the Torah, creating his own ways, that's as ridiculous as a person just claiming that he's going to flap his arms and fly. There are rules. This connection, this way of Hashem interacting with the world in this way of rules, this is what's described in the Zohar as Mamale Kol Almin, Hashem filling all worlds. Because when let's say water fills a cup, how much water can be received in that cup? Depends on the cup. A bigger cup can receive more, a smaller cup can receive less. So too, it is with our relationship with Hashem. Hashem wants to come into us, Hashem wants to fill our lives. And in this world of rules, the question is how much of Hashem's light is going to be able to be received by us? That's up to us. It's up to our free will. We follow the Torah, we follow the ways of connecting to Him in the world of rules, Hashem will fill our lives. If, God forbid, a person deviates from these tracks, he veers off the track, and he refuses to go with the 613 channels that we have to connect with Hashem, then he's not making himself a receptacle. Hashem is unable to fill His world. That's what it means Hashem filling all worlds. This is the way of the tzaddik. We all know that there's two types of people in the world, right? There's something called a tzaddik gomer, there's something called a complete tzaddik, and there's another world called a Baal Tshuva, right? What is the world of a tzaddik? A world of a tzaddik is someone who never veered off course. Of course, his relation with Hashem is one of Hashem filling his world to completion. The more one connects himself to the rules, within the rules, and the framework of halacha, the more Hashem is able to fill his life and to fill his world. But this is all one relationship that Hashem has with the world. There's a much deeper, more sublime, more mysterious way. And that is the way of what? Of Sovev Kol Almin, of Hashem surrounding all worlds. This way is the following. The Swarm described a circle as very unique. A circle is what? When you have a circle, is there any way to tell what's the beginning, what's the end? No. Is there any way to tell what's on top, what's on the bottom? No. It's all one. It's all one. What does it mean Hashem surrounding all worlds? It means that despite the fact that Hashem set up the world of rules, that's true. You cannot at all disobey the rules of nature. And so too you cannot disobey the rules of spiritual nature as well. However, Hashem in His infinite chesed, in His infinite rachmanis, Hashem knows that we are incapable of being perfect. We can't. As Shlomo Melech said himself, it's impossible for a person never to veer off. It's impossible. So Hashem in His infinite kindness created a relationship with us which is called surrounding all worlds, which means that even when a person veers off, even when a person disobeys one of the rules of the 613 mitzvahs, even when a person destroys his own vessel, and therefore in the world of filling all worlds, Hashem is unable to fill his life, but there's still that presence of Hashem that surrounds all of reality. That it doesn't make a difference where you are. It doesn't make a difference whether your receptacle is able to receive within it Hashem's light. Hashem surrounds it anyway. This is the world of Teshuva. This is what the Yerushalmi is talking about. They ask Chacham, they ask logic, they ask prophecy. What do you do if a person sins? Logic and prophecy means the world of filling all worlds, the Malik Kalamin. Those represent the world of nature, the world of rules. Logic is logic, and prophecy is also. Hashem tells us what to do through prophecy. If you ask those, in that world of what? Of Hashem filling all worlds, in that world of rules, what happens with a person that sins? Nothing. What are you supposed to do? If you're off, finished. There's nothing to do. You could jump back on, but it doesn't fix the past. There's nothing to do. So what do we do now? Then the Yerushalmi says, but then they asked Hashem himself. They asked Hashem himself, what happens to a person that sins? So Hashem says, despite the fact that there's a world of Chachma, despite the fact that there's a world of Nevuah, that there's such a thing as a world of Mamalik Kulam, that Hashem fills our lives, and if you veer off, Hashem can't fill it anymore. But Hashem says, nevertheless, Ya'aseh tshuva v'yiskaper la. Let him do tshuva, and I will give him an atonement. I will be mechaper. I will fix it. Why? Because despite the fact that a person veers off course, nevertheless, there's such a thing as Hashem surrounding his life. And when Hashem surrounds your life, it doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter where you go. Hashem is always equidistant to you. It's all the same. We spoke about this, what was it, last week? Rav Nachman talks about that a person has to scream out, Aye Makam Kavoida. Right? That a person always has to scream, wherever his situation is, wherever he finds himself. Scream out, where are you, Hashem? And that itself means that you believe he's there. That's the world of the surrounding life. A person, there's such a thing called derech eretz, the way of the world. There's rules. But a person also has to know how to not be derech eretz dik. You got to be a little chutzpahdik too. There's a story they say. It's one of these, I don't know if you guys heard of it. He was a big tzaddik. You've heard of Rav Nosson Adler? Rav Nosson Adler was a guy in Nazi, was a big mukobel. He was the Rebbe of the Chassam Sofer. The story goes that Rav Nosson Adler used to say that there was a saying, and nowadays people don't say this anymore, thankfully, but back in those days there was a saying that Polish Yidden don't have derech eretz. Polish Jews don't have derech eretz. That was like a saying that people had. Not Polish people would say this, So Polish Jews don't have derech eretz. So Rav Nosson Adler said, you know why there's such a saying like that? Polish Jews don't have derech eretz. What does that mean? He said, I'll tell you why. He said every day at a certain appointed time, the gates of heaven are opened, and those that know how to do this are able to enter the gates of heaven, or are able to enter heaven. And said Rav Nosson Adler, I'm one of them, and every day that's what I do. Whenever the appointed time comes where the gates open up, I do whatever I need to do, and I go. And every single day that I go there, I always see Rabbi Melech of Lezhensk. He's already there. Rabbi Melech of Lezhensk, he was from Poland. He's already there. So one day I say to myself, I gotta, it's not so nice that I'm always like second, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna wake up really early. I'm gonna get there even before the gates are open, and I'll be the first one online. So Kachav, that's what he does. Whatever this means, he prepares himself early enough, and he gets there, and he's the first one online. Gates open up, he walks in, Melech is already there. So he says, Polish Jews don't have any derech eretz. He must have climbed over the fence or something, I don't know. He doesn't have any derech eretz. That's what it means. What is that? I mean, for people like us, we have no idea what these means. But what it's telling us is as follows. There's such a thing as derech eretz. You know what I mean? There's such a thing as Hashem filling all worlds, which means you wait online. There's such a thing, you wait online. But there comes a time in a person's life where what the line is, it's not moving, right? The line is not moving. So what do you got to do? You got to jump the fence. You got to be chutzpah. You can't have any derech eretz anymore. All of us have a little Polish in us. You know what I mean? We got to be a little chutzpah sometimes. It's necessary. It's very, very necessary. This idea, Rav Tzaddik talks about this very much. Let me read to you a few lines from Rav Tzaddik. Listen to what he says. He says, Ki makam hatzadikim gemur, the place of tzadikim gemur, the place of a tzaddik, the place where a tzaddik stands. Hu magilem, where does he reach? Where is a tzaddik able to reach? Hu magilem kfi masehem. He reaches wherever his actions took him, right? Wherever his mitzvahs and his learning took him, that's where he goes. Shu al pi haTorah v'hanevuah v'hachachma, which is defined based on the rules of logic, based on the rules of prophecy, and based on the rules of the Torah, the world of rules. That's where the tzaddik goes. He acts accordingly. He lives a life which is befitting the rules of what? The rules of this world, the rules of Hashem filling the world. So that's where he goes in Olam Haba. V'layetzu migdarim. They never veer off. That's what a tzaddik means. He never veers off. V'him ba'alei geder gevul. But says Tzaddik, because of that, they're always limited. There's always something limiting them, because they've never tasted of that surrounding light of Hashem. All they've had in their entire lives are structured ways of connecting to Hashem. And structured lines means certain limitations. Him ba'alei geder gevul ezet ta'aseh v'zeh lo yisaseh. This do and that not do. Ad paisav lo yisaseh. Go until here and never further. About tshuva, but what's about tshuva? What does about tshuva mean? About tshuva, shakvar paretz gider shel olam hanigdar. About tshuva means someone who already broke the rules. He already broke off. He already veered off course. That's what about tshuva means. Hanigdar al pi haTorah v'hanavim v'achachma, which was set by the rules of logic, of the rules of this world. V'nishka v'makom shenishka, and he sank to the place that he sank to, way, way, way off course. But says Rav Tzaddik, ukeshachayzer loshav al Hashem. But when this person finds within himself the strength of returning to Hashem, ulasakin hakaydim, and to fix what he messed up, va'akara brura, by what? By recognizing da'ata imadi, that even the place that I sank to, I had no idea, but you were there. You were there, he says to Hashem. Ubechol makom she'iyeh, and wherever place that he sank to, ein oid movadai, he comes to the recognition that Hashem, there is nothing but Hashem, and even in those places Hashem is there. Then Zaychel and Achos Yaakov Avinu, that now he merits an even greater reward than the Tzaddik Gomer. Shunachel Belim Etzar. He rewards an inheritance that's without borders. Without borders. This is what the Gemara means. We all know the Gemara. The Gemara says, Malkum Shabali Tshuva Oimdim, right? The place where the Baal Tshuva stands, Ein Tzaddikim Gemor Michol Lambad. Even a great Tzaddik can't stand there. Why? This is exactly what we're talking about. Because the Tzaddik is stuck in that world of Hashem filling all worlds. In that world of rules. And if you're in that world, if your life was only that world, then in the next world, that's all you can attach yourself to as well. And rules means, and that means limitations. However, about tshuva, someone who unfortunately in this world went off course, then that means that what? Then in the next world, if he does tshuva properly, he is then able to attach himself to that level of Hashem's relationship with us, which is what? Which is infinite, which is beyond rules, above and beyond rules. This is the inyan of Yom Kippur. The tshuva of Yom Kippur, the kapara, the atonement that Yom Kippur brings to the world, is because Yom Kippur is the one day of the year. It's the one day of the year where we have the most access to that relationship of Hashem of surrounding all worlds. That's why everything about Yom Kippur it seems like the opposite. Think about it. Of all the sacrifices on Yom Kippur, what's the one sacrifice which brings the most atonement? So we all know the one sacrifice that brings the most atonement was what? It was the goat that they push off the mountain. Sar Lazaza. What does it mean, Sar Lazaza? We take a goat, right? What was the procedure? They had two goats. Just go through some basic stuff, right? We're going to talk about this in Yom Kippur Day. Two goats, and the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, he was the one that did all the service of that day, right? So he would make a lottery. He would pull out a gyro. He would make a gyro. Two identical goats. They had to be the same age, the same price, the same look. They had to do everything was mamish the same. He makes a gyro. He pulls out a lot. And in one lot, he picks out the word La Hashem. That one of the goats is randomly, right? Seemingly randomly. One goat is going to be for Hashem, and the other one La Azazel. What happened with the goat that was La Hashem, for Hashem? That was what is a normal sacrifice. Normal sacrifice. The other goat that was said La Azazel, what happened? He would send it out with an ish zara, some person, and the person would go out far into the desert, into the nowhere, and what? He would throw it off a mountain, it would rip into a million pieces. And that's exactly the sacrifice that would bring the most atonement to the Jewish people. If a person were to do that during the year, according to the regular rules of halacha, you take a sacrifice and you throw it off a mountain cliff. Not only would they not bring atonement, that would be one of the worst averos a person can do. Not only are you not sacrificing a korban properly, that was considered an act of idolatry. That's what the Avodah Zarah people used to do. They used to take their sacrifices and throw them off cliffs. That's what they used to do. But think about it, but on the day of Yom Kippur, and the day where we're accessing, where we're touching that point of Hashem surrounding all worlds, what? Not only is it not an Avera, it becomes the greatest mitzvah. It becomes the source of all kapara, of all atonement. Throughout the year, we say Shema, right? We say Shema Yisrael out loud. When we get to Baruch Shem, we all know, during the year, we say it quietly. One time in the year, one day a year, we say Baruch Shem out loud. What day? Yom Kippur. Why? What does it mean Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad? What does it mean Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad? You know what Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad means? It doesn't mean there's one God as opposed to two. That's not what it means. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad means that it doesn't matter where I find myself. The oneness of Hashem is always with me. That's what it means Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. That's what a person should be thinking. A person has to think when you close your eyes and you scream out Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, it means that it doesn't matter if I'm in Bangladesh or in Yerushalayim. It doesn't matter if I feel like I'm in Yerushalayim or I feel like I'm in Bangladesh. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. But then that we say out loud. That's fine. Baruch Shem Kvoid Malchus Olam we say quietly. Why? Because I don't have time to get into this right now, but Baruch Shem Kvoid Malchus Olam means that concept, that faith that we have of Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Baruch Shem is our acknowledging that we actually feel it, that we're in contact with it, that we live with it. That's what Baruch Shem Kvoid Malchus Olam means. So during the year we can't say that out loud. We could whisper it, we could wish it, we could want it, but to say out loud, Baruch Shem Kvoid Malchus Olam, saying that what we just said a second ago, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, I live with that. We can't say that out loud, except one day a year. That's Yom Kippur. The essence of Yom Kippur, the whole day of Yom Kippur is about this. The whole day of Yom Kippur is the revelation of what? Of Hashem surrounding all worlds. This is the source of the kapara. This is the source of the atonement of Yom Kippur. There's one person in our history. There's one person in our history that embodied this more than anyone else. It was one person. One person, I mentioned this once before, or somebody talks about this over here, is one person was Chizkiyahu HaMelech. King Chizkiyahu. Listen to this. There's a few points of it. It's an amazing thing. We know that Chizkiyahu HaMelech, he was a great tzaddik, a very great tzaddik. One of the famous episodes that happened with him was Sancherib. Sancherib was the king of Assyria, and he attacked Eretz Yisrael. He was the one that sent in the 10 tribes into exile, and after he sent the 10 tribes into exile, he went and attacked Yerushalayim. So there's a pasuk in Malachim. Listen to this pasuk. Sancherib sends a message to King Chizkiyahu. He says like this. What exactly are you trusting in? Why are you not giving in to me? He says. You should just give in to my demands, and then I won't destroy the city. But what are you trusting in? What exactly are you fighting with? What are you going to tell me? I know you're a religious guy. What are you going to tell me? You're going to tell me El Hashem Elokeinu b'tachna, that you're trusting in God. I know what you're thinking. You're going to say you're going to trust in God. But said Sancherib, what, you don't think God wants me here? He said, to destroy the city. Hashem Omer Elai, Hashem told me to destroy this place. If you look in Rashi, there Rashi explains that the Navi Yeshayahu already prophesied that Sancherib was going to go and destroy Yerushalayim. So says Sancherib to Chizkiyahu, what are you fighting with? You don't have any strength. What are you going to tell me? You're a big tzaddik. You trust in Hashem. Hashem is the one that told me to come here and destroy the city. What are you doing? Still, Chizkiyahu refused to give in. He refused to give in. Why? Because Chizkiyahu was that person that what, as a descendant of David HaMelech, he believed in what? He believed in the ability of Teshuva. Chizkiyahu HaMelech, more than anyone else in the world, believed in the ability, in the relationship of Hashem surrounding all worlds. Where you know what? Even Nevuah is wrong. You're right. Sancherib, you're 100% right. Yeshayahu prophesied that you're going to come and destroy Yerushalayim, but you know what? I don't care. Because the world of prophecy means the world of rules. And as a descendant of David HaMelech, I know that there's such a thing as beyond rules. And what happened at the end? Because of Chizkiyahu's great faith, and because of his great dedication to Torah, and his great dedication to teaching Torah, Say Chazal, and as we know from Pesukim, the entire army of Sancherib was destroyed overnight by Malachim. Not one arrow, not one sword was ever drawn against the city of Yerushalayim by Sancherib. Despite the fact there was a prophecy saying that he was going to destroy the city. Why? How did this happen? Because Chizkiyahu was the person that embodied this faith of what? Of Hashem surrounding all worlds. Because of this, the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu lasis Chizkiyahu Mashiach v'Sancherib Gog uMagog. That because of this faith of Chizkiyahu, Hashem, there was an awakening in the world of what? Of making this Mashiach already. Because this is the job of Mashiach. What is Mashiach supposed to do? It says in the Pasuk, Mashiach is supposed to bring all the Nidachim, all the Havudim, all those Jews that are completely far from Yiddishkeit. He's going to bring them all back. How? By telling them the world of rules? By telling them if they don't keep Torah mitzvahs, they're going to hell? That's the way he's going to do it? No. How is Mashiach going to bring the world back? Mashiach is going to bring the world back by revealing Hashem being Sovev Kol Almin. He's going to reveal the love of Hashem that surrounds all worlds, that surrounds everyone wherever you are. Chizkiyahu already began to awaken such a power. He began to awaken such a thing. And because of that, the Gemara says that there was an awakening, that there was a possibility of him actually being Mashiach. It didn't work out. For whatever reason, it didn't work out. But there was such an awakening. There's another famous episode with Chizkiyahu HaMelech. Listen to this Gemara. It's again another famous Gemara. The Pasuk says that there was a certain point in his life after this Sencherev episode that he was very, very sick. He was very, very sick. And he was relatively young, but still he was very sick. So the Pasuk says that Yeshayahu, the same Navi, Yeshayahu came to Chizkiyahu and told him, listen, get your estate together, because you're going to die, you're not going to live. What does that mean? So listen to the Gemara in Brachos. The Gemara says like this. Meis ata b'olam hazeh, said the Navi to Chizkiyahu HaMelech, you're going to die in this world, and you don't have olam haba either. So Chizkiyahu says, Amrulay, my kuli hi, what's the big deal? What did I do already? So Amrulay, so the Navi said, the reason is why you deserve such a harsh punishment is because you did not get married and have children. You were not involved in having children. So Amrulay, so Chizkiyahu said, I know, but I have a good reason for it. Amrulay, because I see with divine inspiration, the nafki minoi benin mali, that I'm going to have descendants which are not good. I'm going to have Rishayim come out of them. Amrulay, so the Navi said to him, you're right, but bahadi kivshi d'rachmana lamalach. What is it your business to know the secrets of God? You do what you have to do. You do what you're commanded. And Hashem does what He wants. It's not your business. It's not your business to know what type of children you're going to have. You do what you have to do. Amrulay, so Chizkiyahu said to the Navi, okay, fine. So I'm doing tshuva. Hash tahavli bartech. Give me your daughter. Let me marry your daughter. And after the gromaz chusa di dividi doch v'naf minoi b'nin demali. Maybe our chusim together. We'll have holy children. That's what Chizkiyahu said. Amrulay said Yeshayahu, nothing doing. Far nigzra alecha gezerah. The decree is already sealed. It's already done. There's no point in trying. You're going to die. Amrulay Sinech Chizkiyahu says Ben Amitz. He says the son of Amitz in somewhat of a harsh way. Yeshayahu, kalei nevuas chavitzei. Take your prophecy and get out of here. That's what he says. Kach nikublani v'beis avi abba. This is a tradition I have from my grandfather, from David HaMelech. Afilu cherchada munachas al tzavari shel adam. That even if the sword is hanging over a person's neck, al yimna atzim merachimim, never stop davening. That's my tradition that I have from my family. And therefore, take your prophecy and get out of here. I don't care the farnigs or gzera. So therefore, then what happened immediately? Says the pasuk, he turns his face to the wall, he starts davening, and Hashem gives him many, many more years of life. And he was able to undo the decree. It's the same Chizkiyahu HaMelech. The same person, he says, take your prophecy and get out of here. Prophecy is in the world of rules. But as about Teshuva, as a descendant of David HaMelech, who brought Teshuva to the world, who revealed the power of Teshuva to the world, as a descendant of David HaMelech, I know better than that. There's such a thing as being able to connect to Hashem way, way above and beyond the world of rules. Way, way above and beyond. This is what it means in that Gemara that we started with, that Gadol Teshuva, that Teshuva is so great, it's able to override even an Olosaseh, even to override an Avera. This is the power of Teshuva, that it's able to connect the Jew to that point of Hashem's relationship, which is way, way above and beyond rules. We have to connect with that in ourselves. We have to connect with that in ourselves. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to believe in the power of Teshuva. We start with the Ramah, right? The Ramah said that Yom Kippur brings an atonement for who? For those that do Teshuva, and for those that believe in Yom Kippur. He says, why do you have to believe in Yom Kippur? The reason is because there's a point of what is Amunah? What does faith mean? Faith means that point of the neshama, that point of a Jew, where he's willing to connect himself to something that doesn't make sense. Right? What does it mean? What does it mean, Amunah? Faith is the point where you step beyond what logic dictates. If a person believes in God because it makes sense, then that's not faith. That's not faith. That's logic. And eventually, if a person's Yiddishkeit is just based on things making sense, at some point he's going to have problems. What does Amunah mean? How does a Jew live? A Jew lives only with faith. Tzaddik v'manasa yichya, right? What does faith mean? Faith means you're connecting to your neshama, you're connecting to Hashem with that point that's above logic, that's beyond logic. You want Yom Kippur to work? You want Yom Kippur to bring atonement? How do you do that? You have to believe in Yom Kippur. You have to access your power of Amunah. When a person unleashes his power of Amunah, then he's tapping into that part of himself which is above and beyond logic. And if you tap into that part of yourself, then Hashem will also connect to you in such a way. This is the unbelievable power of Teshuva. You have no idea what we have. We mamish have no idea what we have. We're able to, the whole year we're stuck. We're stuck with waiting to Hashem in the world of filling all worlds. And Yom Kippur, we have one thing where we could access above and beyond that. We're mamish like malachim. Mamish like malachim. We have to remember this. We have to hold on very, very strongly to this. Let me read you something from Rav Kook. This is in Logic of Teshuva, a few lines. It's very beautiful. He writes the following: if a person's goal in life is what? Is to be a tzaddik gomer. That's what he wants to do. Then kasha eliyas bal tshuva. Then it's going to be very difficult for him to do tshuva. Unless you if you keep your streak going, then that's fine. But once you veer off, if your goal was always to be a tzaddik gomer, it's very difficult. Very, very difficult. Al kain, therefore, roy loy la'adam shetamid yasim aliboy. Therefore, it's better. It's more befitting that a person should put on his heart as a she'ifa, the goal, liyas bal tshuva, to be bal tshuva. That's what a person should want to be. You should wake up every morning and say, not that I want to be a tzaddik today. You should say, I want to be a bal tshuva today. He says, because shakub rayin hatshuva v'shoiv lag shemusa anaisis, you should mamish be completely absorbed with that goal in mind, and all your entire life try to bring it out into practice. If you have that as a goal, that could bring you to very, very high places. Then you could use that to become a tzaddik. You could use that to become a tzaddik. Ulamal is even more. You have to want to be about tshuva. Listen, the rules. We break the rules all the time. That's the problem. It's hard to be a tzaddik gomer. But if you want to be about tshuva, that's already not so difficult. It's not so difficult. We have it in us. We mamish have it in us. We have to just access it. We have to believe in it. If we believe in it, then we're connecting to that point of Hashem, which is also based on belief. And Hashem believes in us. Let me end off with a story. I mentioned the story from Ramelach, so I'll say another one. It was Yom Kippur. It was Kol Nidre, and Rabbi Melech of Lezhensk, would be the one to daven for the Yomid usually. So he gets up by Kol Nidre, and usually his Kol Nidre was something to hear, something to see. It would be very, very long, drawn out, very dramatic. But this year by Kol Nidre, it was very, very quick, without much emotion at all. So he goes to Kol Nidre like that, fine, okay. The Kehila's wondering there's probably something strange, but that's what he does. Then he goes to Ma'ariv. It's 1, 2, 3. It's like a regular Tuesday or something, like without any real heart. Okay, very strange. Gets the next day, Yom Kippur day. The Melech goes to the Yom and he's going to daven Sukkot Zimmer too. Again, he starts with Haidu, with Karban, going very quickly, like without any emotion at all. Till finally he gets to Mizmar Shir Chanukah Sabayis David, and he gets to the sentence Pitach Desaki Vatazreni Simcha. He gets that sentence, but Patach Tasaki Hashem, you took off my sackcloth, my mourning, the depressing part of my life, and you strengthened me with joy. He gets that pasuk, and he stops. He says it over and over and over again, with a tremendous amount of islavos. He starts dancing, and somehow something happened then, and from that point on, it was back to good old Yom Kippur. Okay. So after Yom Kippur is over, after time is over, they go to him, what just happened? So he says like this. He said, the truth is there was a decree, all these stories start like that. There was a decree hanging over the Jewish people, and going through El or Rosh Hashanah, nothing's doing, it's still hanging over us. And even Kol Nidre, nothing's happening. So I was, what am I supposed to do? Nothing, whatever. That's why my davening wasn't very powerful, because there's this decree hanging over us. When I got to that pasuk of Pitach Tasaka Tazreni Simcha, what was taking place was like this. The Sudden in heaven was going to Hashem. He was going to Hashem with big sakim, big bags, huge bags of averos. And he was, going to Hashem, listen, look at all the averos that the Jewish people have done over this year. And Hashem says, you're right. If this is true, that they did this much, then the decree is going to have to be actualized. There's nothing to do. But listen, Hashem says I'm the judge. I have to see the evidence. I can't just take your word for it. I have to see it. So he says no problem, fine. He opens the sack, and he starts pulling out what he thinks are averos. And he pulls out one. He's like, that's strange. That's a mitzvah. Okay, I don't know. It somehow got in here. Fine. There's the next one, another mitzvah. And he starts digging in here, and he's like, it's all mitzvahs. It's all mitzvahs. So he starts losing it. He's like, someone stole it. Someone tricked me. He starts going all over the place. And meanwhile, all the malachim are laughing. Hashem's laughing. So said Rabbi Melech, that's what the pasuk says. Pitach Tasaki, Hashem, you opened up my sack. That same sack that was supposed to be full of averos, you opened it up. What? V'tazveni simcha, and you strengthened me with joy. You strengthened me with joy. That same sack, that's what tshuva means. Tshuva means to be able to what? To take that same part of your life, which until now was full of averos, full of disgusting things. But what? To open it in a new way, with fresh eyes, with big eyes. And what? V'tazveni simcha, to be mechazik yourself with joy. That what? That despite the fact that a person fears off, despite the fact that he's sunk into all sorts of craziness, it doesn't make a difference. Hashem was there. Hashem surrounds all worlds, and He surrounds that place as well. So we should be mechazik ourselves. We have to be mechazik ourselves, because if we're not mechazik ourselves, it's just not going to happen, right? So we have to be mechazik ourselves in our faith in Yom Kippur, in our faith in Teshuva, in our faith in Hashem, in our faith in ourselves. And if we do this properly, there's no question we'll get to Yom Kippur, and this same story will take place. The Son is going to come with all sorts of bags, but He's going to open up. It's all going to be mitzvahs, petach tasak, v'tazmini simcha, and ultimately they'll come with Mashiach Tzidkenu. Amen.